The polar bears, they like sea ice. So they are usually in the colder parts of Svalbard. So it's less sea ice on the west coast of Spitsbergen. So you do have bears in some of the fjords here, but the really good area where you always have bears is this Storfjorden area here. So we do a lot of work here, and that's the area where we have done most and marked most bears. Then you have bears around Kongsøya here, and you have bears further north, on the northern part of Spitsbergen, in those fjords here. So that's the best areas, the main areas where we get most bears. There was a lot of concern about polar bears all around Arctic from the 1960s, because it had been over-harvested a lot of places, and it was the same in Norway. So it was some meetings then that led to a lot of studies all over the world. And at the Polar Institute, they started at the same time working with polar bears, so from the 1960s and early 70s. There was many years where they took samples from polar bears. Then it was a period where it was a bit less intense, and then we have worked continuously since 1987. So when we are flying around in a helicopter, and that's the only way we mark bears now, we locate the bears, usually on the sea ice, and then we drag the bear from the helicopter with a dart. When we drag the bear, it takes 3 to 7 minutes usually before it goes down, and we have about an hour when we can work with the bear before it slightly starts getting awake again. And during that period we take all the body measurements, and then some of the vital things we are doing is to measure how well they grow, for example, how heavy they are. So we take a lot of different body measurements. In addition to that, we take a lot of samples from the bears, and that is important because it tells a lot about the health of the animal. Blood and fat samples tells us a lot about exposure to different pollutants, and that is important for the general health of the polar bears. And you can also analyze blood samples to tell about what sort of diseases the bears have had, and also other things that have to do with their health. We put collars on a lot of the females. We can't do that on the males because their neck is very wide, so they would just take the collar off actually. So on the females we put a collar on, and they send messages to the satellites, and satellites send the messages to us, so we can know where the polar bear are moving and a lot about what they are doing. For example, we can see whether or not they are inside dens when they give birth to cubs. And those collars, they might work from a year and up to 3 years, and they have learned us a lot about how the polar bears use the sea ice and which areas they use, which neighbor populations they interact with, and so on.